This upgrade to Adagio Purchase Orders 9.3b has many new features to assist in transaction entry, emailing, and importing. Some processes make sense to allow performing on multiple transactions at once. It is now possible to multi-select rows on any transactions grid for the purpose of printing or deleting them. When deleting records, the selections do not need to all be consecutive, but when printing forms, they do. On the Purchase Orders grid, you can also complete multiple outstanding transactions of any selection. If some or all of the selected records cannot be processed, such as if an event budget or job estimate is exceeded, or if outstanding purchase orders can't be completed, an error message will list the transactions within the selection that could not be done. When copying purchase orders or requisitions, you now get the opportunity to update the item information and costing from the master inventory or sundry item records. This also includes recalculating if any new or expired contract costs or alternate price list costs are to be considered. If you never include multiple vendors on purchases or other transactions, there is a new option to disallow multiple vendors to avoid the complications that come with this configuration. If you change the vendor number on the header tab, you now have a chance to propagate this vendor change to details, if the entire transaction will revert to a different vendor. Similarly, if you change the location code on the header tab, you have a chance to propagate this location change to details, to make a correction, or update a copied transaction to a different location. Entry Templates now has a place to skip or disable selected fields on the transaction detail, such as the tax status or category that likely will not be changed. And for clarity, the template fields associated with the vendor information at the top of the Details tab are now found on a separate tab within the entry template. When using the Item Information Inquiry for items, there now is a section for displaying alternate item numbers, such as an order entry. And each of the transaction grids can be sorted by date descending to list the newest at the top. When creating a receipt for a vendor that contains multiple outstanding purchase orders, it is now possible, when combining purchases, to multi-select all purchase orders at once, rather than having to do them one at a time. The same process works for combining multiple receipts on invoices as well. Sundry items have new settings and fields available. They can now be made inactive in the same way as inventory items, so that they can be hidden on grids and prevented from being added to transactions. If the expense GL account supports statistical units, a default unit value may be entered, and selecting the sundry item on a transaction will reveal the units field to enter or change the value. Similarly, if the expense GL account supports project tracking, a default project value may be selected that conforms to any requirement or restriction on the account. And selecting the sundry item on a transaction will reveal the project field with the default value, and can be changed to another allowed project if desired. For both statistical units and projects, on receipts and invoice adjustments, Day and Processing will write these values to the ledger batch entry. In previous versions, only purchase orders could be emailed to vendors, and no other document type supported direct emailing from the program. Now, all transaction types can be emailed. For all document types, the Ship to Bill to address code now supports including an email address in the Bill to area. When this code is selected on a transaction, the Bill to email address will be displayed here, and is available for selection when emailing the form. For receipts and invoice adjustments, this is the only possible selection. Emailing purchase orders now allows selection of the PO email address from the vendor record, instead of the main contact, which is supported in conjunction with Adagio Payables version 9.3c. For requisitions, this can also be done through a new Approval Manager record that stores the code, name, and email address. Requisition entry allows selecting an Approval Manager to include this information. When you print requisitions, the email option will be available to send to the Approval Manager address. Now that all document types can be emailed, the email cover sheets have also been updated to allow previewing the results for a selected document type. It may be interesting to create new email cover sheets for respective types. When printing forms for emailing, the last used email cover sheet is remembered by document type, so you don't have to select this each time you email. Most transaction types were able to be imported in previous versions, and now the last remaining type, requisitions, is available to import. Importing requisitions have all the same functionality as with importing purchase orders, including the new Approval Manager and email. When creating or updating import or export templates, it is now possible to search for fields on the selection list, either by data type or by entering characters in the field name. In addition to sorting the fields alphabetically, this will make it easier to locate fields, especially when this list is long. If you use optional fields, the defined optional field titles are now displayed in field lists, instead of the generic optional field data type labels. This will help prevent choosing the wrong optional field by mistake. Read the complete list of features and changes from the release notes. Watch another video on this Adagio program from the playlist, or subscribe to the Adagio YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.